Janice Corrales from Corrales Law Group, and today we want to talk to you about DACA, also known as Deferred Action for Early Childhood Arrivals. It's one of the hottest topics in immigration right now, and it's been really, really popular as far as questions that we've been getting since June 15, 2012 when it was announced. It's a process which allows people who came into this country when they were under 16 and who've lived here continuously without breaking their presence in this country for over 90 days and who've studied here to apply for deferred action. And they're also able to apply for a work permit, which is one of the biggest benefits of it. With a work permit in the state of California, you can then go apply for your Social Security, and you can also apply for a driver's license, which is pretty big. So it's been really popular, and I wanted to go ahead and talk about the most popular things that people call about, which is the evidence that they need for this process and all the forms. On our website, we have a list that we go over with every client. It's a checklist that we use ourselves. We sit down with people and we go through the things that you need to prove in order to be approved. So we go one by one, and as we go through what you need, we'll also talk about the qualifications because that's what you need to prove. So the first, you could go ahead and print it out if you have it in front of you on the computer, print it out, and you can go through it with us and see, write down what you're going to use, make sure you have something for everything, right? Okay, so the first thing that you have to prove is your identity and your age, because you had to be under 31 on August 15, 2012 in order to be able to apply. So they need to see this. The most popular way of proving it is a birth certificate with a form of ID. For the form of ID, if you're still in high school and you don't have a government issued ID, you can go ahead and use your high school IDs. That works. If you've been out of high school for a while, though, you do definitely want to get maybe a passport from your country of origin, or a consulate, an ID from your consulate. Those are really popular as well. And you want to make copies of this. You don't send the original, you just make a photocopy of your ID and you send it in with your birth certificate. Also, you don't want to send in your original, you want to make a photocopy to send it in. Now, something important about the birth certificate is everything you send to immigration or USCIS, USCIS is the agency you're sending this to, everything you send to them needs to be in English. You're not allowed to send stuff in Spanish. So you're going to have to translate your birth certificate and send that translation with the birth certificate. We use this form right here to translate, and you basically just go line by line and translate. You don't have to have it notarized, but you do need it signed by someone who's competent in both languages, the language of the birth certificate and English. So you want to attach this to the copy you make of your birth certificate when you send in your documents. So that's the first thing you want to prove. The second thing you need to prove is that you entered the United States before you were 16 years of age. The most popular way people do this is through school transcripts, because you could just send in your elementary school, junior high, even high school to prove that you were here before you were 16. And also the second most popular way is through immunization records. So, it has a little stamp whenever you received whatever shot, and that proves that you were here. Second most popular way. So that's pretty easy. The next thing you need to prove is that you've been continuously in the United States since June 2007. This is pretty easy for people who are still in school because you have transcripts, and this proves that you've been here. People who are outside of school sometimes have a little bit more difficult time with this because if you don't have a lot of documentation, it can be a little difficult, but it's very doable. USCIS has said that they want one thing from every year. Basically, they want to determine that you have not left the country for over 90 days, which you're not allowed to do in order to apply for deferred action. So one thing for every year is what they prefer, but I like to send in 3 things for every year just to be sure, so that there's no possibility of there being a 90-day gap. Again, they allow circumstantial evidence as long as you prove that it looks like you were here. And the most popular thing for this, if you don't have transcripts, is bills, any kind of utility bills, bank account statements, anything you bought online, basically anything that has your name and an address and a date, so to prove the actual year. However, receipts are also really popular, like buying movie ticket receipts if they have your name and signature and something like that. Just anything that says you were here, even marriage certificates or birth certificates of children, things of that sort can be used. You can get creative. The fourth thing you have to prove is that you were present in the United States on June 15, 2012. This is just to show that you were here when the process was announced and you didn't come afterwards. As long as you send something from June, we've had them all approved so far. June 15 can be a little difficult, but as long as it's within that period of time, it's been okay. The most popular thing, again, is transcripts, because if you're still in school, your school year probably ended in June. So if it ended in June, that shows that you were here. The other popular way is also bank statements, because they show any ATM transactions and anything you bought during that period. But again, you can get creative with receipts and things of that sort. Bills, any bill for that month also works. The next thing you need to prove is the education requirement. The high school diploma is the easiest way to prove this. However, don't feel discouraged if you didn't graduate from high school. This is a very popular question that we receive. You can go enroll in a GED program, and that is enough to meet the education requirement. There are free GED programs out there, so it doesn't even have to be, very costly. But you do want to go enroll in a GED program if you haven't done that, and there are free ones. Just make sure that it's a good one, because they've scrutinized some of the online ones. You want to make sure it's a legit program. So these are the things that you want to prove in your application. There's also an element of not having crimes. So when if you have a criminal history, you probably want to go see a lawyer. It gets a little complex, and I'm not going to go into it in this video. But we are planning to do a future video that goes more into crime. So if you have any crimes, just know that it could make you ineligible, and you want to discuss this with a lawyer and look further into it, because you don't want to apply if you're ineligible. There's some things like a DUI that would just completely make you ineligible. Also, for all of the above, for most things, you could just, for all the proof that you're sending in, you could just send copies, such as like you want a copy of of your enrollment in a GED program or anything of that sort. So you compile all this evidence together, and I organize it with a table of contents. It's important to have it organized so they know what every piece of evidence is going to show. You compile it all with the forms that I'm about to go into, and you also want 2 passport pictures and a money order made out to U.S. Department of Homeland Security for $465. That's all you need, and then we'll go into the forms right now. So again, this is on our website. You can print it out, follow along. Make sure you have something to prove every element of what you need to prove, and it shows that you qualify. Now, you're going to put that and include it with your deferred action application. This is I-821D. All these forms, by the way, can be found on the USCIS website, and you can just fill it in, print them out, and send them with your evidence. This is the main application. It has all the information you need on it. This is the one you're going to send in. And with it, you get to apply for your employment authorization, and that's Form I-765. Make sure that your name and all the information is the same on every form. You want to make sure your birthday is the same, and the names. If you have 4 names, use all 4 names. Make sure you use it on both. They both have to match. So this is your work permit authorization. And with it, they've asked for Form I-765 worksheet. So it's on the USCIS website. You can find it with I-765WS. And this is a worksheet that gets into your finances to show that you have a need for a work permit, that you need to work, essentially. So it goes into your income and expenses and things of that sort. It's pretty straightforward. They don't ask you for taxes or anything like that, just, basics. Okay, now, the next form is optional. This is something that USCIS has allowed you to send in, and it's called the G1145. And this means that if you fill it out, it's so you can get a text notification or an email notification whenever they accept your forms, and then when they approve it. So this is optional, but it's nice to get those updates if you want them. And then there's G28. This is only if you have a lawyer, if you have an attorney. If you have an attorney representing you, they will use this form and they will include it. It means that if anything happens, like if you need more evidence, it'll go to your attorney and that you have a representative. Again, this is only if you have an attorney. If not, you won't need this. Alright, and those are the forms. So you take all your forms and your evidence and your passport pictures and all that, and that's what's required. So what happens after you send it in? So times change depending on how many applications they have, but currently in about 1 or 2 weeks you're going to receive 3 letters. The first 2, sometimes they come all 3 together, sometimes they're a little bit apart, but within the same time period. You're going to receive 2 receipts, one for your actual deferred action application, the 821D, and then the other one's for your work permit. We've blacked out all of our client stuff, so that's why you see lines across. But you will receive these 2 receipts. With it, or a couple days after it, you will receive your biometrics appointment. This is really important. With this, you're going to go get your fingerprints done. That's what biometrics are, and it's how USCIS determines that you don't have any criminal history or that you don't have anything that'll make you ineligible. So it'll have the address of the place that you're supposed to go do your biometrics, and it'll have the date and the time, and you don't want to miss it. It's really important. Again, they cannot decide whether they're going to give you deferred action until you do this. And all these forms, by the way, your receipts and your biometrics appointment, but particularly your receipts, they're going to have a WAC number at the top, and with that you could check the status of your case, the status of your application on the USCIS website. There's a track your case number. You just put the WAC, whatever, and it'll tell you whether it's an initial review, whether it has been approved, or what's going on with it. So that's something good to know when you receive this. And again, bring this to your appointment with a photo ID to get it, and you need to do this. After you do your biometrics, they can check your background, they go over your whole application, see if you qualify. Again, it's discretionary. They don't have to give you deferred action. It's on the officer to do so. But after they do all that, then you will receive 2 approvals. You will receive your 821D approval and your work permit approval. And this is happy when this happens, right? So if everything goes well, you receive these 2 things, and shortly after you receive your work permit. Again, after you receive your work permit in the state of California, you can go get your Social Security and your driver's license. So this is a really great process, and we're happy it happened, and we're happy to help people with it. Hopefully I answered a lot of your questions and it was helpful. If you have any questions, definitely feel free to call us. Our consultations are always free, and also you can send us emails if that's easier for you. Thank you for watching.